So I'm wearing my Workbench Con shirt because everybody's at Workbench Con right now having fun, and I'm missing out. Well, not everybody, but a lot of my good friends are there. So while they are there having fun, let's go ahead and learn something new in Sketchup that you guys have been asking me to show you. So I've had a lot of questions as of late as to how you put pocket screws in Sketchup. There's a couple of different methods that I am going to show you, but the coolest part is that there is a lesson that I learned right along the way. So you guys actually see that happen live towards the end of the video. So be sure and stay tuned to see how that happens. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Don't forget that I do project build videos every 2 weeks and I intermingle SketchUp videos every 2 weeks. So you're gonna have something to watch every Saturday. For my patrons, they're going to get this 24 hours in advance. So if you want to consider supporting the channel, you can either become a patron or visit my Amazon page that you see above here. Find the links down in the description below. Okay, so we're back in SketchUp. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick how to make pocket holes in pieces of wood that you may be combining with maybe a cabinetry model. And I'm showing you this before we do cabinetry because there are people out there that want to do cabinetry in SketchUp, and people sometimes put them together with pocket holes. And I've had a lot of questions on how to do pocket holes in SketchUp because it can be kind of confusing if you haven't had proper instructions. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to use my tape measure tool to lay out a couple of lines. I'm going to do a 3-inch wide by a 12-inch long piece of wood. Let me back out just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to turn my rectangle function on, start at origin, and click and drag all the way over to my intersection lines right there and drop. Turn my push-pull function on, and I'm going to push it up 0.75 inches thick or 3/4 inch thick. So now I have a 3/4 inch thick by 3 by 12. So if this is your first time in SketchUp, I highly suggest that you stop right now, pump the brakes, because the information that I'm teaching in this video is a little bit more difficult for the first timers. So I highly suggest clicking this link right up here, or down in the description you'll find a link to the playlist of all of my entry-level courses that I've already uploaded to YouTube. It will take you from an elementary style all the way up to the advanced of where we are now. Now, granted, there's so much more that I can learn, but I am teaching you and learning along the way, so you guys are going to learn right along with me, and these courses really, really help. I get a lot of good feedback from them, so check them out. Let's turn our tape measure function back on, click on the edge, and just drag it over to the midway right there, which it'll snap blue. And since I want a pocket screw on either side of that layout line, I'm going to drop another layout line that will snap to 3/4 inch, which is exactly half between this layout line and the edge of my board. So drop that one, and then do the same thing over here. It'll snap and drop. Then just get rid of my midway line. All right, now I have layouts for where I want my pocket screws. So I haven't assigned this to be a component yet. I'm going to show you two different ways. One as a component and another one just as a editing model that doesn't have anything assigned to it. So this is going to be the easiest way. If you start out doing this in SketchUp, like if this is your first board and you start out making the pocket holes, this is great. But if you're headlong into a project, sometimes working with the component can be a little different. So I'm going to show you both ways. So now we haven't assigned this as a component yet, which is good. We can edit anything we want to on it. So I'm going to go up to the 3D warehouse, and I'm going to type in pocket hole. Now I'm going to grab this one right here. There's a whole bunch of different ones in here. There's different size holes. There's an even really involved setup that people have made, drills, clamps, jigs, pockets, screws, everything. I mean, it's crazy. There's another one right there that's all different size pocket holes. You can pick from which one you like after you've exploded it. But I'm just going to go with this one right here. And download it into my file. It'll ask, do you want it to load into the model? Just say OK. And you can see that it's kind of throwing it around in my model. So right now I'm on the end of the component. See, I can kind of pull it out and you can kind of see what it looks like. So I'm at the end of the component itself. So I'm just going to drop it right at the edge and let it go. So as you can see, it's thrown it in there as a component, but it's basically cut the face opening of this unassigned component and made the pocket hole visible. Now, if I was to turn this into a component right now, board 1, my hole goes away. They haven't been intersected yet. I mean, these two aren't joined up. So that's why if you turn this into a component after putting in a pocket screw, you can be in a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to back out of that and make it an unassigned component again, or unassigned model. So I've got a component of a pocket hole, and I've got an unassigned component of a piece of wood. Or an unassigned model. I keep calling it a component. So what I want to do is make this one separate, where it's not a component by itself, and actually merge it with the board. But before I do that, I want to locate a couple of more holes. So we'll go over here to the edge, copy with our move tool and option key, and drop right there. Highlight the other one again. Then using the move tool and the option key, we're going to copy those two components and just drop them out here in space. And we're going to rotate them. So we're going to turn our move function on. We're going to just highlight one of these, actually. Turn our move function on, and you see these plus signs that pop up. It just rotates it in the center of the component using those signs. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Just highlight, turn your move function on, and click a plus and rotate it. And now, highlight that other one over here again with your shift key held down and your move function on. Get over here to the edge of where that component is at. Click and drag to the edge of your board. Okay, now, we're still going to have the problem that if we turn this board into a component, the holes go away, or the openings go away. So we're going to just highlight them all, explode it, and now they are all joined up. So we're going to highlight everything and then just make it a component. So now we have a board that has visible pocket holes and it's made as a component. So that is one way to do it, okay? I'm going to introduce you to something that you haven't seen before. I'm going to back out of everything that I just did and get back to where I was with my guidelines and the unassigned model, okay? Now, I want you to go up here to the tools, or excuse me, not tools, but window, and click on it and go down to components. That is going to bring up a separate window that you may have to drag over into this spot if you want it in the same spot as mine, and it's your components window. So anything that you assign as a component is going to pop up in this white area that you see down here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to make this board a component. So highlight it, G on my keyboard, board 1. So now that board has been assigned as a component and it's visible over here, and I can actually edit this if I want to and change the name, change its functions. If I want it to always face the camera, if I want to know its statistics, how many edges does it have, faces, component instances, anything that you want to know about the component can be found in this area. So by clicking on it, you can drag it into your model and have a duplicate. So anything that's in this window, if you have a component made, it's going to pop up here, which means you can click and drag into your workspace because it is a separate component. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, now that we have made this a component, we want to import the pocket screws onto it. So we have to be inside of the component, editing it before we drag anything in. However, going to the 3D warehouse up here to grab that component and import it into the model, it basically takes us outside of that component. So we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to just stay out of the component. We're going to go into the warehouse and grab that same pocket hole that we messed with earlier. Right there, download, say okay, and I just want to drag it out here into space. What that does is it gives the pocket hole a location over here inside the component window. So I don't necessarily need it, so I can just delete it, but it still keeps it over here. So I want to go into the component of the board. And one thing that I learned the hard way, and this is like the umpteenth time that I've been trying to figure this out, and it took me several attempts to figure out why it wasn't working. So you know that we have the layout lines here of the board where we want these pocket holes to go. Well, dragging things in here from this component window acts like cut face that I showed you before. And if I just click it and drag it in, you can see that it's running right along with me. But if I snap it to this layout line, it will not open up the face. For some reason or another, it doesn't like being snapped to a layout line like that. So if I grab another one and drag it in and snap it out here into space, the hole opens up. I don't know why that is, but that's how it works. For some reason, that's how it works. So I'm going to drag another one onto this other layout line to show you that it's not a fluke. So there. It didn't open up. So I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to drag it and snap it just to the edge over here of the board and drop. And it works. For some reason, it does not like tape measure lines. Now, it could be because these tape measure lines were not made as part of the component. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go into the component like I am now, and I'm going to make a tape measure line that's a little off and drop it. So now this tape measure line, you can tell is a different color because I made this line originally outside of the component, so it's not really part of it. So let's try it again. We're going to snap it kind of back here and drop. So that's the problem. I discovered this live with you. That's pretty cool. So now I understand why. If you make layout lines that are outside of the component and you try and drag a cut face model from your component window over here to a layout line that isn't part of it, it will not open the face for you. But if you are inside the component and make a layout line that is part of the component before you drag in another one on top of it, it will work for you. So that's cool. That took me, I don't know how many attempts to figure out. So I'm going to back out of here. I'm going to get rid of these lines. And I'm going to go back into the component. Now let's make my layout line halfway right there. And then we're going to snap a 3/4, snap another 3/4, and then get rid of my center line. Now I'm still inside the component for editing. And I'm going to grab my Craig hole right here and snap. Grab another one and snap. Let's come down here to the other end. Now we're probably going to have to rotate these because they're going to be oriented a different way. So snap, snap, and turn my move function on and grab one of these plus signs and then rotate it around. Do the same thing with this one. Rotate it around, turn my move function back on, and then just snap the end. Grab this one, snap the end, and there. Quickly, we have made pocket holes all over this thing just by grabbing from our component window. That is how cut face works efficiently. So just like I did before with the holes, adjustable shelf pin hole again. So let's make it a 1/8 inch diameter for a 1/4 inch wide hole. Let's make another circle that's just kind of random. We'll just pull this in to 0.25 deep and highlight it all. Turn it into a component. We'll call it hole. Go into that component and get rid of that outside circle. So now we can just come over here and click and drag it in. See that? So that's how cut face works with the component window. You can just drag as many as you want, randomly as you want. So that is another method of using cut face, but it's also how you can make pocket screws on a component. And then I showed you earlier how to make it without it being a component, putting it all together and then making it a component afterwards. So that was pretty awesome, learning a lesson right along the way. You guys got to see it happen. So I'm happy that I figured it out actually in the video. I'm learning all these lessons right along the way along with you guys, so it's pretty cool that we figured it out together. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. Patrons right up here and the tool partners. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you very, very much. Don't forget to subscribe. You can check out my other videos over here and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I would greatly appreciate it. Talk to you later on the next video. Boom!